another white privileged man. Stop it. Don't. It happened.
Oh, no.
Kind of nonsense. Belly up won the Dynasty League. I had the very first pick. And so I took CMC. And after 1 year, I was like, woohoo.
Yeah.
But ever since then, it's been like, stepping on landmines.
Let's go. Good morning for a lot of us. Greatest day of the year. It's probably the biggest draft day, in my opinion, that we're going to see a lot of home leagues drafting today. I'm already seeing it all over Twitter. Everyone's saying home league today, home league today. It's my home league draft tonight, so I'm excited. I literally view it as one of the greatest days of the year. I get hard to sleep the night before. It's just a great time because, look, for me, fantasy football, obviously it's about winning, but damn it, I just love getting together with all my friends and having a good time on draft day. So I'm pumped. I know these two guys are pumped. I got to get Kevin off mute here because for some reason we could still hear him talking during the intro, and I don't know why that was. But we'll start with Kevin. Kevin, welcome to Draft Day. What's going on? You're good now. You can talk.
Well, as you said, Andrew, this is awesome that it's draft day, and as you mentioned, it's like Christmas Day right here. And so, as a matter of fact, my draft is tonight at 6 p.m. local time. So I'm looking forward to it, ready to get into it. Not too excited that I have the number 5 draft pick, but I'll make the best of it, and we'll just see where things go from here. I'm very, very excited. Let's do this.
Yeah, I have the number 3 draft pick tonight. So, and it sounds like, given the time difference, the two of us might be drafting at similar times. So maybe we'll have to be going back and forth, sharing our picks with each other out in the public. But Chase, are you drafting today?
It's interesting because I got my baseball show almost at the same time, so I'm going to be doing double duty tonight, trying to figure out who I'm going to draft while paying attention to my own show at the same time.
So if you're watching the baseball show, get used to seeing a lot of the top of Kevin's head because he's going to be looking down at his draft a lot.
That's right. You'll see a lot of this going on right here. So
yeah, exactly.
Just be aware of that.
Well, Chase, are you drafting today or in the next couple of days? Do you have a home league that's already drafted, or what's going on with you?
So we're not joining you from the Mott and Bailey Basement Bar this weekend. Joining you from a hotel room in Appleton, Wisconsin, right now because I'm in town for my home league draft. So it's our annual college buddies, buffoonery weekend, and we always draft on Labor Day Monday. Yep. So ours will be tomorrow. At 12:30 local time here, so everybody's starting to file into town, shuffle into town. We got a guy coming in from Las Vegas area who lives out there now, who's coming back for it, and of course we've got Minnesota and all over the state here in Wisconsin. So yeah, we're in town for the draft. Looking forward to it. Again, this is my home league. This is my guys. These are the guys I love. I've known most of my life by this point. This is the league I've been in for 20 plus years, and so looking forward to it like always. Everybody should be, but it's a great weekend for it.
Well, and that's the thing, we can be in league with other experts, we can be in leagues for chat like Scott Fishbowl and whatnot, where people would think, oh, those must be the leagues you want to win. No. I still want to win my home league more than anything else because I want that bragging rights over my buddies. I want
right?
the fun of rubbing it in their face for a year like that. So the home league will always matter more than anything else as far as what I want to win the most. So we got to love the home league. So, but look, that's going to get us. We're going to give you some last minute draft advice because, like we said, a lot of people are drafting this afternoon, this evening. So if you're tuning in and you're drafting today, make sure to keep listening here on YouTube, here on Twitter. And we're going to bring you the best we can for some maybe late draft targets, some guys that were going untalked about, some guys who might be overrated here. So we're just going to run through some kind of a myriad of things here. So let's get it. I'm going to get us kicked off started here because there's one offense that, well, actually, no, I'm going to start us on another point. I just changed my mind right now because the Bills actually released their week 1 depth chart this morning. I don't know if you guys caught that. It just came out on Twitter a little bit ago. So the depth charts release. They have Gabriel Davis at this top with Stephon Diggs. We both knew that they were going to be starting there. Isaiah McKenzie did beat out Jamison Crowder for that starting slot receiver role from the looks of the paper, which tells me it looks like he's probably good for week 1. We still kind of need to see him in a full practice to make sure his availability is going to be all set. But Isaiah McKenzie is someone who's been going largely undrafted in most redraft drafts. And to be the starting slot receiver on a team like the Buffalo Bills, that seems like the value is amazing, even if you reach for him like 2 rounds before the end of the draft. Are you guys on the same page that Isaiah McKenzie is now solidified on your draft board as someone you're targeting late?
I'll go first. No, actually, he's not. Not from my standpoint. I'm not all that excited about him. Now, I'm all for anybody getting a piece of the Buffalo Bill offense however you can. Right. I've been a lot higher on Devin Singletary out of their backfield than I think a lot of people are. I'm not convinced
that's been consistent.
He's going to be the second coming of LaDainian Tomlinson or whatever everybody wants to make him out to be. I think he's going to get run. Yeah. As far as McKenzie, like you said, we're still waiting to see, is he truly healthy? If he's healthy and he's on the field, great. He's going to play that slot role. He's going to be fine. I still like Jamison Crowder. I think Jamison Crowder is a good underrated player. I think they brought him in for a reason. I think if nothing else, McKenzie can learn from Crowder because Crowder has been that successful receiver before. I am very, very interested in Diggs. I'm very, very interested in Gabe Davis. I have Gabe Davis higher than most people do, I think, on my board. But, I mean, McKenzie, he's somebody that I would take if he was there and if I needed the depth at receiver. Or if you're in a particularly deep league, if you're in, say, a 16-team league, he's definitely somebody that should be on rosters. He's not necessarily somebody I'm targeting late, though.
See, and I think he does have a place on 12-team leagues as well. And maybe that's because I'm a little bit further down on Gabriel Davis than a lot of people. That's not that I think Gabriel Davis I think he's going to have a bad year. I think he is going to have a good year. It's just he's been flying up the ADP all summer, and it hasn't really stopped. He's continuing to kind of move up the ADP board, and I'm not willing to pay that price for him. I'd rather have Diggs in the first round or first or second round, depending on the format of scoring, than trying to get Gabriel Davis in, like, I don't know, the third or fourth round, wherever his ADP is at now. I would rather get Isaiah McKenzie later on because I think his value, he's going to, if you get him in, say like the 15th round of your draft and he shows up to be a wide receiver 3 or a flex wide receiver, like that's a no-brainer to me. Like that's a position I would need on my team. Kevin, are you in the same boat as me, or are you a little bit more on Chase's side of thinking that you're just not really looking at them?
Well, the only thing that gives me pause when it comes to McKenzie is because I'm looking at it right now, he's got that questionable spot by his name. If he clears that, if you're playing for the Buffalo Bills, then that gives you a run. And they're playing the Rams, and I'm looking at this, and all the leagues I'm in are points leagues. I don't know about anybody else, but he's projected to get 9.7 points against a tough Rams defense. If that's what he's going to do against the Rams, then I like what he could do the rest of the way.
And that's his projection with a questionable tag.
If he's healthy, he's the guy that I could definitely see targeting later on in the draft because Buffalo, they're going to throw the ball. We know that. And if he's the slot receiver, they're going to play a lot of 3 wide receiver sets up there. So I really like what as long as that questionable goes away, I'm all in on him.
Well, and
yeah,
McKenzie,
I'm not in on him. I'm not out on him from the standpoint. Like I said, I would take him. I would take him, and I'd be happy with that. But I just look at it as, if he's going to be the Cole Beasley on this team, Cole Beasley was never somebody, whether he played in Dallas or in Buffalo, Cole Beasley was never somebody that I found myself, as you put it, targeting. And that's my only thing about it. I want shares of this Buffalo offense wherever I can get them. But I think that now that they've given up on the Emmanuel Sanders thing, and Gabe Davis is going to have that number 2 locked down, I think his targets are going to explode. I think that if Isaiah McKenzie can get Cole Beasley's exact targets from last year, great. So he scores he scores pretty well then. And he gives you 130, 140 points, which is fine. That's just not somebody that I want to target necessarily, because I think he's still, even on a great offense, he's still a number 3 receiver on that offense. And I think the top 2 options are going to explode. And in the red zone, that he's going to have more competition. He's about my height. He's like 3'8". He's not a very big player, so it's not like in the red zone they're going to be tossing balls up to him, fades in the back corner. They're going to be looking at Dawson Knox. They're going to be looking at Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. They're going to be looking to try and get Devin Singletary and James Cook in the mix. So he's not somebody I'm targeting, and that's where I'm leaving that.
And if you're watching, Chase felt so strongly about that take, he almost took his whole camera down. But look, the way I view McKenzie is I think he's going to be. You're right. He's not going to be your red zone touchdown target. I fully agree with that. But I think he's going to be a possession type of receiver for them, to where he's going to have a safe flex floor for you to fill in for an injury or a bye week or whatever, to where you're not going to have to worry about trying to scramble on the waiver wires. And that's what I like about those late round picks for me. I like to be able to take as much of the question out of my week-to-week operations for my fantasy team and really be able to focus my waiver wire targets more so on, I'm looking for a diamond in the rough that could explode at some point. And if I'm starting to see that guy that I picked up 2 weeks ago not heading in that direction, I'm going to drop him and try someone else out. But I want my late round picks to be people that I can count on to fill in when I need it. And for me, that might be McKenzie.
And would you rather, guys that are going around his ADP right now,
mm-hmm.
Would you rather have McKenzie for that, or would you rather take a shot on a guy like Josh Palmer late from the Chargers, who's in an equally high-powered offense,
mm-hmm.
but is going to be Keenan Allen or is going to be Mike Williams if either of them goes down? And even if he's not, he's still the number 3 in that offense.
Well, and that's a fair point, because he's got more of the size in comparison. So I get what you're getting at there.
I would rather
jump into more of a.
Like,
and then that's a fair point, because he would take more on that direct role. Like I do believe that Isaiah McKenzie, because he's going to be in that slot role, even if Davis or Diggs gets hurt, he's not going to change his role. He's still going to be the slot guy. Someone else will jump into that role. But in the Bills' case, I think Allen is comfortable with McKenzie, to where we would still see, if there was an injury to the top 2 guys, his role would stay the same, but I think his possessions would go up. I think his touches would go up. His touchdowns might not change. But even more so, it would still just raise his safety floor, which is still what I'm looking for from a bench guy. So I guess it would depend. So for me, if my wide receiver depth at the time of that area of the draft is shaky, then yeah, I'm going to probably lean more towards a Josh Palmer, because I'm going to need someone who can hit a ceiling potentially for me. But if I'm pretty happy with my starting wide receivers and I'm happy with the depth, then yeah, I'm going to take a safety guy that I can slide in if needed, like Isaiah McKenzie, because I feel good about everything. And speaking of, so you brought up a good, 3rd, 4th wide receiver. Speaking of a guy who did make a move this week, and for me is still absolutely irrelevant in fantasy, but I feel like we got to talk about him because he's been a hot topic this week. Jalen Reagor getting traded to Minnesota changes nothing for me. He's still going to be irrelevant. It was probably the worst situation for him to get traded out of. And it's not that he's not a talented wide receiver. I do think he has a hands problem. But nothing changes for him. He's going to be the number 4 in Minnesota on a better offense, sure, but he's still the number 4. And I think Dalvin Cook out targets him. Like, it's just so where do you guys stand on Reagor? I'm pretty sure I know where, but let's just make it clear to the public.
Well, when you talk about a wide receiver that has not lived up to anything, Jalen Reagor, it's got to be a poster for him, because everybody thought he was going to be a good player up there in Philadelphia. It just didn't happen. And maybe going to Minnesota will give him some greener pastures, so to speak. But as you said, there's no place on a roster if you're in a normal league that's 12 or so. Number 4 wide receivers have no place on a roster like that. And even if you're in a larger league, I just can't see it happening.
I was just gonna say, I'm not sure he's on my roster.
Jalen Rigger, all shout outs to you, but you keep on rolling past my fantasy team because it's not happening here.
Yeah, enjoy the nothingness that is Minnesota.
Yeah,
Now listen,
we could talk about the Twilight
No, I'm
Zone.
just
That's
saying
where
he's
is.
going from
Zone.
bustling Philadelphia to Minnesota, where it's only going to get colder for him, and it's. I mean, they play indoors, but I'm just saying in general,
at least they play indoors in Minnesota, so I guess
he's not going to greener pastures than Philadelphia Eagle Green. He's going to purple pastures where, he's going to be at best the 6th option probably in that offense. He is definitely behind, even on the depth chart. Obviously, he's behind Jefferson, maybe the best receiver in football. Thielen, who is really underrated right now.
He's 300 spots behind Jefferson.
Irv Smith is going to be healthy, and if Irv Smith is healthy, he's a better option than Jalen Rigger.
100% agree. If he stays healthy, he's going to be a relevant tight end, and he will out-target Jalen Rigger.
Yes, and Dalvin Cook should be. Dalvin Cook should be ahead of probably 90% of the receivers in this league.
And that's why I have Cook rated so high in my rankings above some other guys. He's my number 3 running back this year.
This is a good time to bring up that point about just because a guy moved teams, just because right now he's in the news. Okay, he's in the news, so he's in front of us. But you don't want to jump on that like it means the world. If he moved, it's because the team that he's been on, the team that knows him better than anybody else, didn't see a place for him and didn't think that they were going to suffer by not having that guy. One of my biggest cases in point is actually just plays for the team we were just talking about, or played for the team that we were just talking about, O.J. Howard.
Yes.
Now, when they signed O.J. Howard up in Buffalo, I was one of the people that if I had room for him on my dynasty rosters, I was jumping around and saying, okay, I'll pick. If he's on a waiver wire, I'll grab him.
Sure.
Because it was worth a shot. Dawson Knox doesn't get a ton of volume for
especially the tight end position. Anybody has a shot.
Right. And we know O.J. Howard is athletic, and he had a ton of hype, in Tampa, but they let him go. So now they sign him in Houston, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at this! He's in Houston." Yeah, Houston has different options too. They've already named Pharaoh Brown their starter. They've got Brevin Jordan, who I like as a breakout candidate.
I like Brevin Jordan over Pharaoh Brown, honestly.
Pharaoh Brown might get the first snap of the game.
Exactly.
They're probably going to run the ball on first down, the first snap of the game. Yeah. Brevin Jordan's going to catch their passes.
I think we know what Pharaoh Brown is at this point.
I think Howard gets some run down there, but that's a gigantic red herring to try and think that all of a sudden, because O.J. Howard got signed right away by somebody, that he's going to – I mean, he visited with the Bengals too, and they passed on it for Devin Asiasi.
I was just going to bring that up. Devin Asiasi got signed right away too to a team that passed on O.J. Howard. So just because he got signed right away just means a team saw value at their – to have you as depth. Doesn't mean they're going to shuffle you in to be a starter and be relevant in their offense.
Sony Michel signed with the Chargers. That doesn't mean that he's going to take shares from Austin Eckler. It doesn't mean Isaiah Spiller has lost his spot. It doesn't even mean that Josh Kelly lost his spot. It just means that he's on the roster. And
I heard that about
depth option.
So here's how I view.
Yeah, I heard that about Sony Michel myself, and I was like, take him. Take them. Somebody wants them. Take them.
Yeah. Right? So here's how only because you brought them up, because I do want to get to our Manscaped break, and I want to get to the announcement of our the winner of our signed Devin Smith jersey. But real fast on Sony Smith, I do want to say, you're right. He's not there to take touches away from Eckler, and he's not there to change Isaiah Spiller's role. That said, I do think that if Eckler were to go down, Spiller I think that what they do is they move into more of a traditional kind of role of Michel moves in the quote-unquote Eckler role, but without the catches. They would move to more of an offense where they're using Michel as more of a traditional running back, and then Spiller, if anything, is in there for the pass and down plays, and he keeps his role, but a slightly higher, more usage role. So Sony Michel is there to spell Eckler if Eckler is hurt, and that's all that is.
It's almost what happened across. Well, it's almost what happened across the stadium last year when he was with the Rams.
Mhm.
You know, Michel's capable. He's a capable back. I actually put a joke out on Twitter this week. He looks like he might be carving out a role as the Ryan Fitzpatrick of running backs. You know, just that
starting to get that way.
Go somewhere because you know he can start if you need him to, and then okay, well, let somebody else have him next year.
Yeah,
but you know, the point is, I agree with you completely. I think that if Eckler goes down, I don't think Spiller's role changes all that much. I think Michel then, when he's ready, when he knows the offense, jumps into that position.
Agreed.
Until Eckler's back. But the larger point though is, don't overreact to that. Sony Michel isn't magically a 6th round pick because he got picked up by the Chargers. I know that he went in other drafts when he was 38 other running backs in Miami, because he's a good player. He is a good player, and he's a legitimate player in this league. But he's not somebody that you need to jump all over the news that he switched teams on. This isn't Devontae Adams switching teams this offseason. This is guys who were let go in some way, shape, or form. They were turned loose from the team that knew them better than anyone else. That should speak to you as a fantasy owner. So don't overreact to the news just because it's in front of you.
And you never want to make a move on the idea that someone is going to get hurt at some point. To me, I'm not going to be, planning on that, because if then you do that, you're like, oh, please, Eckler get hurt or whatever. No. And so if there's a player that I think that might be higher up on somebody's draft board than that's where I'm going to go. And so we can talk about, you having your what do you call those? The handcuffs and all that sort of thing. I'm not big on that at all. I'd rather take somebody that is potentially in somebody's starting lineup than looking at handcuffs.
For Michel specifically right now, I don't have a problem if you are an Eckler owner and if you're into the handcuff philosophy. I'm not always, but if you do want to have that insurance policy, I think Michel is worth taking as an Eckler owner. I think he's worth taking later on in drafts. I'm not going to take him for any kind of standalone value just yet. No.
Yep. No, I think we're on the same page. So before we get to our Manscaped ad, I do want to announce we do have the Devin Smith throwback Denver Broncos jersey that we've been giving out this week, based on comments on both the Sunday show last week and the Tuesday show this past week. And very happy to announce that the winner is Mr. Mr. Ken Underwood from a YouTube comment. So congratulations, Ken. I'll be reaching out to you. I'll get your contact information. We'll get this shipped out to you. And congratulations on this signed throwback Devin Smith.
Yeah, congratulations. I would like to have that shirt.
You didn't qualify, Kevin, even though you were all over the comments trying. But that's going to bring us to our first break. We're going to hear from Dan Maynard from one of our longest sponsors here, Manscaped. So stick around with us when we come back. We're going to talk some more teams. I do want to get us actually back to the Vikings when we come back, because I think there's more to talk about. Chase kind of alluded to it, and I think there's some value to be had with the Vikings offense. So stick around. We'll be right back after this break.
Fellas, the fantasy football draft season is right around the corner. CeeDee Lamb is good, but have you seen these beautiful balls? It's time to get your snake looking right for this snake draft with sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have created a championship lineup with the Performance Package 4.0. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the promo code BellyUpFantasy. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. Tom Brady didn't come out of retirement for you to have hairy balls. So slot it at the quarterback and get 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code BellyUpFantasy at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code BellyUpFantasy at Manscaped.com. It's time to put the PP back in a PPR league.
All right, I'm gonna take down the wall here for a second because I just noticed something while that ad was going on. Chase, are you going crisscross applesauce on us for this broadcast? I thought so.
Yeah,
there we go.
we're on the floor today.
Dedication right there. I gotta love it, Chase. But look, yeah, I alluded to, and you alluded to it earlier. I do want to talk about the Minnesota Vikings because this is an offense that I'm straight up targeting all around because I think it's an offense that's going to exceed expectations. I like the value you can get Kirk Cousins at, and look, we all know Justin Jefferson. He's in most formats, he's a first round wide receiver, potentially going to be the number one wide receiver this year. We'll see between him and Cup.
It's going to be number 5 to me tonight. Okay, that's my prediction.
Okay, well, there we go. You heard it here first. But look, because of that, I do like Kirk Cousins.
Unless Austin Eckler's there, then Justin Jefferson, number 5. All right.
They should both be gone. But yeah, that'd be great. That would be great.
And so, but because of that, because of they've been very open about trying to get Dalvin Cook more involved in the passing game. Kirk Cousins' value is great, but Adam Thielen, and you mentioned him earlier, Chase. He's not getting enough respect, in my opinion. I'm gonna I should have had this ready. I apologize, I don't.
He's invisible.
I want to look up his current ADP, and look, I know he's getting older. I know he had, injury.
I'm trying to look that up as well.
And obviously, Justin Jefferson taking over the lead role there is he's gonna get the majority of the targets, but Thielen, I think, can still, from a fantasy perspective, be a serviceable wide receiver 3, and the value that you can get him at. I silly went to depth chart instead of ADP, which is just ridiculous of me right now. But in PPR, he is currently, as I try to fill time here talking, he's going as the wide receiver 29, overall 70th pick.
Yep.
I love that. He's going around the same in person. So he's going around the same time as Darnell Mooney and Amari Cooper. I would much rather have Thielen over both of those guys. Jerry Jeudy,
Cooper and him don't belong in the same sentence.
Exactly. I'd much rather have that. Now, look, he is right behind Marquise Brown and Allen Robinson, who are two guys that I would take over Thielen. I think that's right.
Well, we could argue that a little bit, but yeah.
Well, maybe we will. We'll see. But I'm trying to give a landscape. Juju Smith-Schuster is also 2 ADP.
Smith-Schuster is somebody I would take in front of him. But
and I was just going to make that same point. I would actually move Juju up above Thielen as well there. But I think that value right now for Thielen, I think, is just too good to pass up on what that offense is going to be. Like, sure, Dalvin Cook is going to have running game as well, but I think that offense is just going to throw the ball all over the place, and Cook is going to be a beneficiary of that. Thielen, I know people are high on KJ Osborne. There might just not be enough to go around to make him more than a flex guy. But yeah, I love Thielen. It seems like you guys mostly agree, but so where are you guys at Thielen as current ADP as overall 70th and wide receiver 29?
If he's healthy this year, I mean, he missed a few games last year. If he's healthy this year, I still like him as he's a wide receiver 2 on his team, but he's wide receiver 2 on a team that's going to pass the ball all over the place. Remember, This is not even. They were a great passing team last year, and this is not necessarily last year's Minnesota Vikings offense. This is going to be closer to and more akin to last year's Rams offense. That's the scheme they're running. Now, it's not a totally different scheme than what they had run in the past. It's in the same family tree of coordinators and schemes. But, we've seen that number 2 receiver on the Rams has always had great value. Thielen's been the number 2 receiver on his own team now for a couple of years, and he still has had great value. Mm-hmm. And even missing 4 games last year, he scored 200 points in PPR. I have him still as a low-end wide receiver 2, period. My initial rankings, I had him that. I still think, if he's falling that far down, if you can get him like that in the 8th round, 9th round, and if you can snag him as, say, your wide receiver 3.
Oh, that's exactly in my mocks. That's where I've been able to grab him, and I have been so satisfied with having him as my wide receiver.
Jump on that. Let other guys deal with Darnell Mooney trying to catch passes
exactly
Fields behind a garbage offensive line.
I have no interest in Darnell Mooney.
Right?
Coaching staff. They don't know what they're doing yet. I do like guys like Smith-Schuster. I do like guys like You said Brown, I kind of like. Bateman is going down there in that range as well. Let other people try and worry about the Bears offense.
Bateman, no, come on. If you take Bateman, you should stop playing fantasy football this minute.
Grab Adam Thielen if you got a chance to get him that low, because you're going to be he's going to pay off. He's going to pay off.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Thielen for me is
I totally agree with all of that. Yeah, the only thing that would give me pause, as I just mentioned a moment ago, if I took Justin Jefferson as an over number 5 pick, then I'm not going to be doing that later on in the draft. I'm not going to have 2 receivers on my.
Well, now that makes sense.
No, I don't like doubling up on guys either.
If that doesn't happen, though, if I don't get Justin Jefferson, I would be all in every way on Adam Thielen, because I think that's a tremendous value right there. And so, yeah, sign me. If I don't get Justin Jefferson, if I luck out and take Eckler at number 5, let's say, then Adam Thielen, you better get ready to come on Team Wilson, because that's
when Adam Thielen was healthy last year. He scored over 15 fantasy points a game. You know who else scored over 15 fantasy points a game? Hunter Renfrow, who finishes wide receiver 11. T. Higgins, who people are taking as a number 1 wide receiver.
Very high.
Jalen Waddle and Mike Williams both scored that. If you like Mike Williams, Jalen Waddle, Hunter Renfrow, that's who you're getting with Adam Thielen, but you're getting him rounds and rounds and rounds later.
Well, especially now those
value, that's giant value there.
Well, and those are great examples, because those are also very similar situations to where now
I'm all down for that value right there.
Well, yeah, and now Renfrow, like you just said, so if you like Renfrow, especially in this current situation, Renfrow is now the number 2 behind Devontae Adams.
Which
Waddle is now
Chase
the
and I
number 2
talked
behind
about
Hill.
Renfrow, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
And I'm into Renfrow, but if Thielen's there, then Renfrow, you need to stay on the corner, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and Waddle's number 2 behind Hill, and Williams is obviously number 2 behiund Allen.
I would take him absolutely over Waddle. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we're on a delay here. So the situations are very similar. If you like those guys, there's no reason why, in my opinion, I agree with you, you shouldn't like Adam Thielen, because all of them are just as injury prone as Adam Thielen is at this point when we're talking number 2 wide receivers on the team. So yeah, that's where I stand in there. Who are some guys you want to bring up that you're either seeing as great values that people should be targeting in these redraft drafts, or someone that is going just way too high that you really want to put out there to steer people away from and ignore unless they drop to a place where their value's worth it?
Well, go ahead.
Well, there's one player that I thought was interesting that signed with the Tennessee Titans the other day, and that's Josh Gordon. And so, not that I'm saying go out and get Josh Gordon, but that gives me some pause just how good these wide receivers are for Tennessee. And if they're bringing him in. And so you might want to do some real research on Braylon and all that, and Woods and stuff like that. So that gives me some pause on Tennessee wide receivers, just them signing him.
No, that's a good point. And I do think it's probably a depth shot in the dark situation, because I think they're admitting that they know Robert Woods' injuries, his past injury history. I think they are seeing the writing on the wall that maybe Treylon Burks is not necessarily ready to be the role that they thought he would be ready to by week 1.
Treylon Burks.
So, no, I think you're spot on there. It does speak to not necessarily go out and get Josh Gordon, but just like you said, maybe we have to pause on some of these other guys. And look, I still think where Woods is going in drafts, like I'm still fine taking him. He's going as wide receiver 41, overall 101. Like Robert Woods at that ADP, even if Tennessee does want to have a backup for him in case he gets hurt, that value is still amazing. Like I'm going to touch that all day long. I'm going to take him wherever I can at that value.
No, he's still going to be the wide receiver 1 on that team. Burks is good, but he doesn't seem like he's put it together as quickly as they want him to put it together. Ignoring even
it's been trailing ever since training. The mini camp and all that has been going on, and he just hasn't caught up to where you would think that a guy they took that high would be at this point.
Right. I'm not giant on Josh Gordon yet. We know he's got playmaking ability. We know they've got.
No, I'm not saying go out and get him. Just just be cautious.
No, Robert Woods is a guy that I
And,
would bring up.
another player
that is going too low.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Woods is going. Sorry, Kevin. No, I think Woods is going too low because again, he's going to be the number one wide receiver on that team. As a wide receiver 2 on a team before, we've seen him have great value. Now he's going to be the top. He should be the top target, the top gun. I think Robert Woods is somebody that everybody is sleeping on a little too much. He's never been a sexy name, but he's always been a steady producer. And as the number 1 on that team,
if he's healthy, I like him a lot. A lot.
Yeah, if I can get him as a 3rd wide receiver, I'll jump on that all day long.
That's even bigger than that. Look, I'm not gonna lie. If I had Robert Woods and Adam Thielen as my wide receiver 2 and 3, I'm still happy. I'm still happy with that because that means I'm probably stacked at running back. It probably means I have a top end wide receiver as my wide receiver.
And you've got 3 number 1 receivers on your team.
Exactly. Right. I'm solid with that. If that's the way look, that's why depending on where you're drafting and your draft position is in these redrafts, wide receivers so deep this year with the way people are drafting them. It's deeper, I think, than other years.
So running back, you should be targeting running back at the start of the draft. I mean, unless it's Justin Jefferson, as I mentioned earlier, because he's a first, tier player regardless of position.
Yes, and that's exactly the point I was going to make is that, there's going to be still areas where you need to kind of follow that tier mentality where if you're the mid to end of your first round, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, they're sitting there. They're going to be more worthwhile taking there than a Joe Mixon or an Alvin Kamara that late in the first round. Like I would rather take them there. So that's where it switches.
Get Joe Mixon in the second round.
But that's where if I'm taking a Jefferson or a Cooper Kupp in the first round as a wide receiver, then I'm now looking at trying to get the best value I can at either tight end or running back down the list, or if it's a 2-quarterback league or a super flex league, I'm obviously looking at quarterbacks as well. But if I get one of them, I am so comfortable with the depth of the wide receiver position that I know I can wait probably 3 to 4 rounds before I take another wide receiver, and I'm still going to end up with a pretty deep, solid team.
Yep. So a guy I want to jump
absolutely on, with you on that.
A guy I want to jump on here that I think is going way too high, that I think we're all too excited about, is Trey Lance.
Thank you.
Now,
sorry.
Listen. If Trey Lance, if Trey Lance can work out as a starting quarterback, great, because we know he's going to be able to have that rushing floor that we love to see in a quarterback. In fact, I downgraded Eli Mitchell in my initial draft rankings because I think Trey Lance is going to run the ball all the flipping time.
Well, especially in the red zone and within the 5-10 yard line, he's going to be a touchdown vulture.
And he doesn't seem to be like crazy comfortable yet as a quarterback in the NFL. And I think that, I think it is telling that when no one else really in the league necessarily wanted Jimmy Garoppolo,
even teams that did not Jimmy Garoppolo,
they would not get rid of him. There are a ton of teams in this league that could use Jimmy Garoppolo on their roster. He is by far, one of the top 64 quarterbacks if you want to go too deep across the league.
Yes.
I would say he's definitely in the top 40. He may be in the top 32 to be dead honest.
Jimmy Garoppolo should be starting over a Daniel Jones, over a Geno Smith, or Drew Lock. Doesn't matter who they roll
unless you want to,
absolutely.
Unless you don't want to give up on your guy, and I get why teams are sticking around with their 5th-year option guys or whatever. But he's a starting caliber quarterback in this league. They didn't want to get rid of him, even though they don't want him, quote unquote, as their starter. Now they restructured his contract a little bit, and that's honestly a good gesture on his part. And it doesn't mean that he's there all year. But I think that if they were completely sold on Trey Lance, if they had no doubt whatsoever in their minds, I think they would have tried to do something with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think
they could have got
on the team. It creates a weird situation.
something.
It creates a crazy situation for him right now, where now Trey Lance has to look over his shoulder at the guy that is universally, by everybody's account, loved in the locker room,
and who's brought them to a Super Bowl in the past.
He's taken that team to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So I don't know why Trey Lance is going as a quarterback 13. I don't know why he's going ahead of Kirk Cousins.
He's going ahead of Aaron Rodgers in a lot of drafts.
He's going ahead of a bunch of guys.
Why is he going ahead of these guys?
Yeah, so I'm with you.
I've been in so many mocks where he's ahead of Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins. Like you just named it, but even more guys than that. Like that's one of those where I see him go in a draft in like the second round of a super flex or something, or a third round. I'm like, good. That's one more spot closer to me having a chance at the guy I want. Take him. Right? I don't care. I have no interest in having Trey Lance on my team unless
take him.
I'll take Winston over him. I'll take Jameis Winston over him because I've seen Jameis Winston do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen Jameis Winston be that guy.
There's not a quarterback that's looking over his shoulder more now than Trey Lance is.
Right.
And
I will take Matt
Ryan. And the 49ers are a legitimate playoff team. And I don't think they'd wait long if Trey Lance stumbles, and they're going to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo. And so there are going to be some guys that are going to be really disappointed by taking Trey Lance this early on.
I'll be honest.
So, Chase, I'm with you 100% on him. I want no shares of Trey Lance. Zero.
Yeah.
I don't want shares of him, but I hope they don't. I hope they don't do that. I hope they stick with him because I don't dislike the kid, and I don't want to see him.
No.
Become
especially
the new
in Dynasty. This is a Dynasty show. He's got a place on Dynasty teams, but redraft.
We are officially out of the Dynasty show era
to do.
Yeah.
I
just don't want to see.
Okay,
if they ruin his
going back to my original point, I want nothing to do with Trey Lance. Zero.
So just to give you an idea of how I feel about Trey Lance, I just pulled up my rankings because I couldn't remember exactly how I had him ranked with the other quarterbacks, but I have him ranked right around the same area as Davis Mills. And some of the QBs I have in front of him that I've seen people drafting him in front of, for instance, are I like Trevor Lawrence more. I like Baker Mayfield more. I'm not going to lie. I'm high on Baker Mayfield, a lot higher than other people are. So I like Baker Mayfield more. I have Tua ahead of him. People are taking him over Matthew Stafford. Like, are you kidding me? How are you taking Trey Lance over Matthew Stafford? Matthew Stafford has proven in this offense
that people are questionable about. Yeah, the only reason why I think people are questionable about Matthew Stafford is his health. Other than that, why would you not take Matthew Stafford?
So when I get that, but with the way Trey Lance plays, he's just as much at risk of getting hurt as Matthew Stafford is standing in the pocket.
He is,
if not more. So
let's face it,
that balances out.
Yeah, because he's a running quarterback. He could be hurt by the third week.
And he's an aggressive running quarterback.
I hope that doesn't happen.
He's gonna take some shots because there's gonna be a couple times where he doesn't protect himself.
Right. We're hoping for.
Hopefully he can be like Russell Wilson because nobody could get out of bounds or down like Russell Wilson has ever done.
More like Russell Wilson.
So if he can be like that, then
yeah.
Well, look, that's gonna bring us to our next break here. We're gonna hear from the guys over at True Classic Tee real fast. So definitely check them out. Their t-shirts are amazingly comfortable and soft, and they stand up well as well. So we will be right back after this quick break from True Classic.
Support for today's episode comes from True Classic. This brand new sponsor has the absolute best fitting t-shirts a man can buy. Finding the right t-shirt with a little bit of a dad bod is incredibly frustrating. Most t-shirts are either too tight on your gut or look way too big and boxy. You're not in high school anymore, and it's time to upgrade. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. Our listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 20% off with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at TrueClassic.com. Almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs, but most of us aren't packing anything but a few beers. Fellas, you are wearing the wrong clothes. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt you can always confidently throw on. True Classic doesn't just stop at tees. They are your one-stop shop for men's essentials. Super easy and simple to fill out your wardrobe. From polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit to boxer briefs designed with a pouch to keep your bulge nice and comfortable. All their gear is top-notch quality at reasonable prices. It's about time you learn how to dress yourself properly. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic and get 25% off at trueclassic.com with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Free shipping included on purchases over $100 and 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day return policy. Stay classy with True Classic. Your dad bod will thank you.
And welcome back, Luke. Man, what is going on with Kevin's mute today? It's doing the opposite of what it should be. I don't know what's going on. I swear I'm not trying to shut you up, Kevin. Oh, wait, and there it is. So even, okay, behind the curtain, behind the fourth wall is down, whatever. I don't care. It's an open show for me. Anyways, let's get back into it. We got about 15 minutes left here to bring you guys some last-minute draft advice for those drafting today, tomorrow.
Yeah, there's one player I wanted to bring up, and that is Dameon Pierce.
Yes, okay.
Dameon Pierce of the Houston Texans, and he's the reason why you don't do a draft in June, okay, or July even, or August.
Yeah, people were saying
Marlon Mack, everybody was drafting him as the number one. That's right. Everybody was talking. People were taking him, later, but they were still taking him, thinking he was going to be the RB1 of the Texans. Yeah. Well, he's RB0. All right, so he's got zero value right now, and Dameon Pierce, I've seen, is flying up the draft boards, and so
as he should be.
I'm not saying he's going to have a great season, but if you happen to take Dameon Pierce way back in the day, way late, then you've got some value on your hands right now.
And look, I'm gonna check Dameon Pierce right now is going as the running back.
Yeah, absolutely, you are.
Which honestly, running back 27 feels actually about right now for him as an ADP. Like I kind of like that spot for him. He's right around AJ Dillon, Devin Singletary, Miles Sanders. Antonio Gibson is still ahead of him, which I think is outrageous. But right around like a mid to back end RB2. No, I'm sorry. That's I'm doing my math wrong. RB3. Like I feel like that's kind of where, given the unknown of what that offense is going to look like with him being the lead back, I feel like that's a nice, safe, comfortable spot that I'd be willing to take him at.
He has looked really good in preseason.
Right, I agree with that.
We don't want it
physical
to go along, kind of a corollary with not overreacting to the news that we see of people signing in other places. You don't ever want to overreact to what guys look like in preseason. There's been a ton of preseason all-stars that never make rosters or never pan out.
Correct.
But he has looked really good, really explosive, and he's now going to be, we know, the number one option on that team. Remember, too, that the running back position is one of those positions, is maybe the only position where we've consistently seen rookies be able to step in and have a right away starter impact without having as much difficulty as, say, quarterbacks do, obviously, trying to learn everything there is to be a quarterback. But we also see that in wide receivers. The Jamar Chases and Justin Jeffersons of the world are the exception to the rule. But seeing rookie running backs come in and take over right away has been a pretty regular thing. That happens just about every year. Somebody has a young running back step up. I love Dameon Pierce right now. If you can get him as a running back 3 on your team, according to that ADP, but it's been shooting up. But if you can get him as your 3rd, he's going to return good value for you. You may be able, you may be set there without having to do a whole hell of a lot of work for it. I tell you what, I like him better than a lot of guys that, like you said, that are going in front of him. And especially, if we want to talk a dynasty format, he's golden because in rookie drafts early this season, you could get him in 3rd round sometimes, depending on the size of your league.
Yeah.
I'm really into
you could get him at like RB 56 or something. So if you did that, then you are set.
So I am quickly just looking up his dynasty ranking right now because now that you said it, so I am curious. The disrespect on him at dynasty ranking right now, he's running back 33 in dynasty. Behind Ramondre Stevenson, Miles Sanders.
I'd
He's
like
behind-
somebody to justify
He's behind
that.
Clyde. He's behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire in Dynasty.
Okay, that's where we're going next, because I don't know if you caught me sneezing. I just about knocked myself on the farther.
I didn't see that,
earlier. My allergies are killing me right now. But
That's kind of like a plane crash right there.
I think it's because I was scrolling through the ADPs and I came up on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he's a guy I am completely and utterly allergic to right now in fantasy.
Yes, I'm done.
I don't know
Out on
why
him.
anyone.
Yeah,
he has not.
that's right.
Ever shown us.
It's like that guy that got stung by 2,000 bees or whatever it is that happened. This past week or whatever. Yeah. Sting me 2,000 times before I'm dealing with.
He's had hype his whole career so far, and he's only been in the league a few years, but he's always been hyped. Oh, hey, look what he's going to do, and he's on this great offense. And he just has never shown us anything that he's going to be able to be that guy. I mean, if you look, even looking at what he did last year, he scored 11. He missed a bunch of games. He was only healthy for 10 games, part of 10 games. But he scored 11.8 points per game last year. You know who else scored 11.8 points per game last year? Duke Johnson when he played. And is anybody signing Duke Johnson? Hell, the team that signed him Duke Johnson because they let his ass go. I don't know why.
I don't think anybody would know where to call to get Duke Johnson if they wanted him.
I rejoice every time I see someone take Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't care if they take him in the 3rd round. I don't care if they take him in the 13th round. As long as you took him, you just let somebody else fall farther to me, and I appreciate that, because I would rather take my 5th or 6th receiver.
I salute you.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire as an option on my team.
Yeah. Yay for you.
And to kind of piggyback off Damian
100%. Just I'll take a drink to anyone that's taking Clyde. All right, here it comes.
To piggyback off the Dameon Pierce talk, then they have a rookie themselves in Isaiah Pacheco, who has looked really good and who is getting some hype. I like him better in dynasty formats than I do this year necessarily redraft, but I'm not shying away from him. And they brought in Ronald Jones as well, and Ronald Jones is only 23 years old. He's not an old man either. That backfield right now is kind of a mess. But I know that for sure, I am not touching CEH in that backfield with a 10-foot pole. I don't care what my draft position is.
Yeah, I have no interest in CEH as well. That's fine with me. And yeah, look, the fact Antonio Gibson is also still above Dameon Pierce in redraft and in dynasty. Look, I know Brian Robinson, the situation with that, I get it. I still don't think Antonio Gibson's situation changes. They made it clear when they moved him to special team plays.
Maybe a little bump, but no.
But still, I think if anything, J.D. McKissick is going to be a big part of that offense now. And
I like J.D. McKissick. I've been beating the drum on him all summer long. I want shares of J.D. McKissick.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm not going out of my way to get it, but he could be a great value if I need depth.
Between the two?
No, I'm not going out of my way either, but it seems like he falls to me in just about every draft I'm in. So,
listen, I hate the Brian Robinson situation. I did draft him in a couple of leagues.
It's terrible.
But the reality of it right now, I don't think we're being cold saying this. The reality of it right now is that he's not healthy and he's not going to be playing for a while. And Antonio Gibson, for everything that everyone wants to say about him and how maligned he's been, and everybody wants to be out on him. And yes, he has fumble problems and everything else. Antonio Gibson was still running back 10 last year overall. J.D. McKissick was like running back 48, 49 last year. Between the two, I'm not going to shy away from taking Gibson right now. I'm not taking him as a top 10 running back. I'm not even necessarily taking him as a top 20 running back. But because people are shied away from him, because people are scared of him right now, and because everyone thinks that Brian Robinson will be the starter when he comes back, which I hope he is, and I think he should be.
He should be.
But if you can get Gibson at that kind of discount, and you're taking him not as your number one or your number two, or not even to count on as a flex, there's still value to be had there. The guy fumbled like 6 times last year and still was running back 10. He only ran for just over 1,000 yards and he was running back 10. The guy still has that same kind of ability. It's not like he forgot how to play football all of a sudden. And I'm not afraid of Antonio Gibson. I'm not taking him as that top 10 option that he was last year from a scoring standpoint. But I don't think that people need to be quite as terrified of him and shocked at him as
I don't know. I don't know, Chase. It seems like it's going the other way where people are getting on board the Gibson train.
It's because his value's dropping. And they're seeing him now as worthy of the value.
People want Gibson.
His value took a dive.
He's moving up to the draft boards to me, so his value is getting lost to me at his current ADP.
Well, yeah, and that's where you have to read.
If he was back there, like you're saying, Chase, I could see it, but
you have to read your board and you have to follow what the guys in your league, guys and girls in your leagues are doing. You got to let the draft come to you as it plays out. But what I'm saying is his value took a giant hit when it was announced or when the news started to kind of rumble around that Brian Robinson was going to be the starter and everybody was Antonio Gibson returned to kick. But the thing about it is that, his value took a necessary hit, but if his value is rising right now, it should be. His situation is better right now in terms from a pure roster standpoint. And, like I said, I don't think we're being cold about Brian Robinson by just mentioning this. The reality of Antonio Gibson's situation is he is more valuable right now than he was, say, a week ago. And so he should be coming up a little bit. But I still think that people are, discounting what he can and what he may do. There's no guarantee that Brian Robinson plays this year. And if he does, there's no guarantee that he's great. He's going to have a lot of time off right now and a lot of physical recovery to happen. With Antonio Gibson, read the board. Like I said, don't take him as one of your top 2 running backs. But if he falls to you at the right spot, he could return great value for people. And I think that everybody wants to discount him all of a sudden because he returned a kickoff in a preseason game and he was going to be behind a rookie who is now no longer in the picture in the short term. So I'm not targeting Antonio Gibson, but what I'm saying is if he falls to you at the right position, that could be massive value. He still has the same value that returned running back 10 value last year.
Well, I think that brings us to a good point here to wrap up the show because we're just about finished up here. And what I want to do is I want to have us all kind of give one quick last minute advice of just advice in general on how you should be approaching these drafts because I think we've all talked about it on other shows, but we'll talk about it on this show. I know for me, I know a very popular one is to not follow the trends. Don't just start taking defenses or quarterbacks because the run on quarterbacks is going. Follow your tiers. It's you be confident in the work you've done or the work that you've paid someone else to do, whatever you've done to be ready for your draft. Don't just abandon it because
because you could have turned to us for free. All right.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But whatever you did to prepare, stick with it. Don't abandon everything you did just because 2 or 3 guys decided it was time to take quarterbacks in the 3rd round of a single QB league. You know what I mean? Like instead, when there's a run on something, look at where you can find the value instead. Okay, these guys are going when they should be, in my opinion, taking wide receivers. I'm going to take a wide receiver because I see great value there. That's the way I would be approaching it. What do you guys have anything else you'd like to either add to that point or a different point?
Well, one point I'd just like to say is every draft, the experts always say, don't take a quarterback early, which I'm totally agreement with. But in your draft, it's going to happen. People are going to start taking quarterbacks early. Let them do that, and just get your guy later on in the draft that's going to have pretty good, similar value, and take your players that you like. Let them take whomever in the 3rd round, and just quarterback a little bit. When I was mentioning about it's always funny to me when I'm going through ESPN and there's something that you're interested in, but it's ESPN Plus and you have to pay to get that. Yeah. I'm not paying when I can turn to guys, like you two and other people that are on our network and get the advice that we need to have to make these decisions. Don't pay to get football advice. Just don't do it.
Hope that doesn't come back to bite us one day, Kevin.
All right. Here's my
Hey,
2 tips.
it's
Here's
not
my
because
2
we
big
know what
tips.
we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
we do.
We wouldn't be here if we didn't.
Yes, we do know what we're talking
We know
about.
what we're talking about.
Here's
And I don't mind saying that out loud.
Yes, no,
here's
I
one
agree.
thing
Okay.
that I want everybody to remember. If you've got any kind of standard scoring settings in your league, first off, always check the scoring settings in your league before you draft, so that you understand the relative value of players. If passing touchdowns are 6 as opposed to 4 like they are in most leagues, quarterbacks take a little bit more, they get a little bit more value, and so on and so forth. PPR changes things, tight end premiums or whatever. But if you have any kind of standard scoring settings in your league and you have standard roster options that we see across the board, do not be that guy or girl who takes a flippin' defense in the 10th round or a kicker before the last 2 rounds. Do not do it. I know you think you're smart. I got the defense that's ranked number 1 on my sheet. That's great. And that defense is probably going to end up defense 8, 9, or 14 by the end of the season. You didn't gain yourself.
Washington Commanders last year is a prime example of
all you did by taking that defense in the 10th round was do me the favor of having one more guy to choose from later on down the line when it's my next turn. You left somebody on the board that shouldn't have been there when I get up to my pick. Yes. Take your defense, take your kicker in the last 2 rounds. If you don't have to draft your kicker or defense in your league, if your league rules don't say that you have to come out of the draft with a full roster, then take another flyer on a late running back or a late receiver or a second tight end or whatever. And then stream your defense and your kicker before week 1. Pick them up. There's plenty of options that are available. Those 2 positions.
Or make a 2-for-1 trade.
Yes.
You could always pull that off before
defense
week 1.
Are too volatile. They're too unpredictable, and they are too unimportant in the grand scheme of things for you to jump 5, 6, 8 rounds and grab one. Don't be that guy because you don't look smart. You actually come off as the opposite. Good luck. Draft smart, draft strong.
Enjoy, everybody.
That's right. And don't be the person that takes 2 defenses. Don't do that either.
Well, once again, enjoy, everyone. It's draft week. Week 1 is upon us. This coming Thursday night, we have NFL football back, regular season. It's an exciting time. So do your research. Join us. Get all of your resources, your rankings, your articles over at Belly Up Sports, over at bellyupfantasysports.com. We got you covered front to back for the football season. We are ready to go, and we are ready to go for you. If you want to find me at Real Mr. Mallard, you can find me on Twitter there. You can also find my golf show at Divots and Pivots. We spent the last 2 days out at the Live Tour Boston event. So I released my round 1 article. I'm going to be releasing a round 2 recap article as well. It's probably going to hit tomorrow morning by the time I get it submitted for review. So check that out. Later this week, I'll also be doing another kind of PGA versus Live because I know I was turned. I'm on board for what Live means for the sport of golf. So make sure to tune in if you want to find out why. Tune in. It was an experience, and I'm here for it. Kevin, quickly, where can we find you? What do you got going on?
Well, you can always find me at Kevin62WILSCA on Twitter. You can always find articles for me on Belly Up Fantasy site. And, of course, today is the final day of fantasy baseball regular season, which means the playoffs begin tomorrow. We have a show that will be talking a lot about fantasy baseball tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. We are going to be doing so you can prepare for the playoffs, so you definitely want to check us out over there.
Fantastic. And Chase, as always, give us what you got. I know you got the team reviews coming out.
Yep. I may have one more team review coming out. I've been working on a Texans review here.
Yeah, Chase is bringing it.
Just released a Dynasty rebuild article with some wide receiver targets. If you find yourself in a Dynasty rebuild that I think are good targets for you.
That's right. Get over there and check that out. Chase, you brought it on that article.
I'll have more of that coming up this week in terms of some quarterback targets for Dynasty rebuilds and that, and maybe some tight end targets. And again, I will be updating my rankings. I'll have my first rankings out for week 1 will come out this week. And then Wednesday night, we will have the Belly Up Fantasy Live preview show right here on, where you find Belly Up Fantasy Live. We'll have that at 7:00 Central. So it'll be 8 Eastern. p.m. So check it out. Find us here. We'll preview the week. We'll talk about Thursday night football. We'll talk about the games on Sunday and get you fired up for week 1 of the football season. So.
Fantastic, guys, and thank you for joining us as always. We will catch you next week for our first Week 1 Sunday preview show. Make sure you catch us here 11 a.m. as always on Belly Up Sports. Have a great week and enjoy the drafts.